see. All right, 1 2 1 2. Yes, once again, it's Mr. Taper's Barber Life as we explore the lives of influential barbers throughout the nation. And today we have our special guest, Mr. Al's Millions. How's it going, sir?
Doing well, doing well. Thank
Yes, sir.
God.
Yes, sir. We we go a ways back, and how did we? Well, when did we first meet?
Man, I think it was at I know it was at Varner Brothers.
Okay, okay.
And I think it was probably at the one I think you had some you didn't you used to have something going on after the show
Yeah,
or after you
yeah,
used to have like a late night after party
yeah,
type.
yeah. We used to do either it was a magazine after party,
Right.
or we did the female barber showcase.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If if Bronner Brothers comes back to Atlanta, we got to do that again. That was a lot of fun. But tell me, uh, for those who don't know Al's Millions, you've been an influential barber figure for several years, well known on YouTube, uh, a great barber, a shop owner. I think you own two shops now, don't you?
Yeah. I had three. Yeah, I sold one.
Okay, okay. Well, tell
Yeah.
me, what inspired you to become a barber, and how'd you get started?
Oh man. I think it was back in 1989. Boy, I'm dating myself.
Hey,
Um, and I was working at a business school in New York City. I
okay,
was a missions rep, and back in those days,
okay,
we used to get paid good money to put students in seats.
okay,
They were doing medical assistant program and computer operators and data entry,
okay,
and so we would go and find get people looking for work and try to get them in school and get them financial aid and the whole nine yards. And it was doing well up until like almost 88, 89. I'm sorry, 90. Yeah, 80, 80, 88, 89. Started doing well, but
hmm
what happened was the government changed the way they could give out financial aid. So the students had to sit for a while before we could get paid.
ah,
And
okay,
before we could just sign them up and we get a check at the end of the week. But after a while, people would sign up and not show. And so the
mm,
government was paying us and they said, oh, we're not doing this no more. So they cut
okay,
all that out.
okay.
So the big $4,000 every 2 weeks, that was over. You know, we
Oh
were-
man,
we had to find something else. And so I knew that I went to the barbershop, weekly. And
okay,
every time I went into the barbershop, these guys had pockets full of money. And
okay,
I like, these guys are getting paid. And
all right,
I could cut a little bit at that time,
okay,
just doing a little line up here and there, and cut my friends. And so I figured, let me look into this. And so I ended up going to Apex Barber School in New York City, downtown
okay.
in the Village area. And
Ah,
I ended up going there, and because I just was tired of this business school, and I wasn't making the money that I thought I should be able to make. So I
right,
ended up going to school part time, and at Apex, as soon as you got your tools, you could cut.
oh,
You didn't even have to know how to cut. The minute you got your tools,
right,
when they gave you a list and you went out and got it,
uh huh.
the next day they had you taking in clients. And
Oh,
so you didn't even have to know how to cut good. And in the book, Anatomy of a Barber, I talk about Carlos, who was the first Hispanic guy that I ever cut.
mm-hmm.
He had straight hair, and
Okay,
so I didn't know how to cut straight hair. Yeah, I was
right,
just still trying to work on us, and so
right,
I got there and started that fade down low. He said he wanted a medium fade, so I started by the ear. I'd be okay.
Uh,
Man, when I finished with that fade was way up here on top of his head.
oh man,
Like he had a
man.
yarmulke on top of his head. So they bailed me out. But that
Okay.
was that was the reason why I ended up really taking it serious after that. I realized I didn't know because when you a new barber, you think you know everything until you realize that you don't.
Right.
And so I went ahead and started focusing on how to really cut, and got through school, and I got into a situation where I got a mentor in Harlem, and name is Mr. Love, Jerry Love.
Okay.
He's Fonzo Love. What's that? The actor and the comedian. Uh,
Who's that?
Faison Love's uncle.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, Faison
Okay.
Love, the actor. Yeah, his
Okay.
uncle was Jerry Love. He
Okay.
had a barbershop called the Love Cut in Harlem. And,
Wow.
and
Okay.
Jerry Love, man, he was rough. He curse you out and do all kind of stuff and make you feel embarrassed. But
Uh-huh.
Jerry Love knew how to cut, and he knew how to show you how to cut because he scared you.
Oh,
He scared
wow.
you to death. He come
Okay.
and talk to you bad in front of the customers and stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I
And
kind
then,
of learned what not to do
okay.
and what to do by working with him.
Okay.
And I think that if I had not had been in that experience, I would have been wouldn't have been as good as I ended up being as far as going out and making things happen. Because that's
Okay.
the kind of guy he was. So yeah, I started, and that was in 1990.
Okay.
But before that, I was cutting a little bit, without license. You know how we do.
Oh yeah.
We cut a little bit without license. If I wasn't in the barbershop, I was just doing it at the house,
Okay.
whatever. But 1990, I really, that's when I was legal and legit and working in the barbershop.
Okay.
And so that's how I got it. But those first 10 years
Uh-huh.
I was just cutting, and I wasn't doing business. I wasn't taking care of my finances correctly. I wasn't
Okay.
making sure that I was doing the right thing with my money.
Right. You were
Um,
young.
yeah, yeah. Well, I was 30, but I was young up here,
Right. Right. Right.
and I was trying to catch up, but I wasn't understanding that it's not what you make, is what you take home,
Right.
and
Exactly.
that's when it hit me, and that took about 8 years for me to realize that if I didn't stop and change the way I was doing things, that I would not have anything, and so.
Okay.
That yeah, and then I got into the 2000s, and
Uh,
that's when I started really getting serious about doing what we do today. So yeah, but it's been a long ride, man. It's been a long
okay.
ride.
Well, what would you say was the most challenging part of your early career? Was it the cutting straight here, or was it the saving money, or what was the most challenging?
Well, I guess the most challenging thing, and I think most barbers deal with that, is understanding that you don't know everything,
Okay.
and back in those days, even after I had been with Jerry and learned some things from him.
Mhm.
I still thought, when I left there, I thought I was the man. I thought and like I said, you don't realize what you don't know
Right.
because you don't know what you don't know. And so
Right.
you just go off so the same thing with money, you think, oh, I'm going to get that money back. You never get it back. You get some more, but you
Right.
don't get it back.
Right.
So you're spending money, and I wrote a segment of barbers who just mismanage their money,
Hmm.
and they can't really do anything because they don't have a bank account. They can't show their money.
Hmm.
So I was working, and I really didn't have anything to show for it.
Mm.
And so I think my biggest problem was making and letting my wife at the time understand that I was really working. I was really doing something that was profitable. But when you bring $75 to the table on Saturday night and
Hmm.
say, "This is what I have to pay bills,"
Hmm.
he ain't trying to hear that,
Right.
and
Right.
and then you look at what you spend per day, you
Hmm.
look at your booth rent, you look at what you wasted, and
Hmm.
so you go from making $700-800 a week back in those days
Hmm.
to bringing home $200 at the booth rent. So the
Right.
question is, what happened to the money between the barbershop and the house?
Right.
And that was the question that I was asking myself a many a day, a many a weekend. And
Okay.
so that was my biggest problem, trying to grasp and trying to find out and how to control my spending,
Mm.
knowing where it was. I mean, we spending $50 a day on food,
Yeah.
between lunch and breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
And that
Easy.
was back then. So we was dropping, you know, $15, $15, 15. So by the time you get home at night, you don't spend $50 in food.
Right.
Times five, that's $250 right there a week. Just
Times
on,
four. That's
yeah, yeah,
$1,000 a month.
that's it. That's it. So
Right.
there you go. And so I had to find a way to do this better, and so that was one of the reasons why, and I wrote in the book Barber Syndrome,
Hmm.
because barbers think because they made 200, $300 today, that they make, that they got it and they're making money. And so they go out and they spend and they buy some rims and back in those days, remember the guys used to come inside the barber shop with
Yeah.
fur coats and merchandise that was, you didn't know if it was hot or what, but you bought it
Right.
because it was something to get. And at the end of the week, you didn't know what happened to the money. And
Right.
so I went through that whole deal. And so really I think when I started going to Warner Brothers in like 20, 2006, 7, that time, that's when I started seeing how barbers were doing things other than just, working in the shop, and,
Right.
cutting the young boy that won't be still and the old man with the gray hair up his nose. Because
Right.
that's what I thought it was all about at that point. I'm like,
Hmm.
where am I going with this?
Right.
I didn't really have the kind of money that I thought I should be having.
Hmm.
And it was really just my mismanagement. And
Okay.
so I guess back then, before I really got into the business side or the industry side of barbering,
Hmm.
I just was mismanaging money like crazy.
Okay.
And so yeah, and then once I got the understanding of what to do, I got my credit back in online and different things, the business side. And I always say, if you don't do business, business will do you. You
Yeah.
know,
You're right about that. Huh.
it will do you. So
Well,
so
right.
that was my biggest challenge, I think.
Okay. Well, how has the barber industry changed since you first started?
Well, back then, it was nothing to come into the shop on Saturday morning or probably almost any morning
Hmm.
and work all day. We didn't have as many barbershops, around.
Hmm.
So then you didn't have that much competition.
Hmm.
People stayed with you because there were no apps.
Right. Right.
they they went by word of mouth, and if you had a 10 o'clock appointment, if you did an appointment, if the
Mm.
guy come in and he wait and he would sit there, and that's what he do, sit there until it was
Right.
his turn.
Mm.
And he may complain about it, it may not. They played checkers, they played chess, they told jokes, we
Right.
told stories, we had fun, we ate. And so sometimes a barbershop would end up being a place to hang out or a place to be, even if he wasn't getting a cut.
Right.
So that all changed, and especially after the COVID came, people was just in and out.
Right.
Now,
Right.
I had a pool table in my barbershop, and the guys didn't even want to play pool. They didn't even want to play. It was like, I'm good.
Okay.
We had chessboard. They didn't want to really play. Just maybe the barbers every once in a while.
Right.
But everybody was, in and out because of the appointment situation.
Yeah.
No more sitting all day waiting. Nobody wanted to do that no more.
Mm.
So it's a different age because then it was more community.
Mm.
The preacher
Yeah.
was in there. The pimp was in there. Everybody was in the barbershop.
Mm.
And you saw these people,
Right.
and
Right.
it was community. And it was different, and it was like a place to be. We got our news from there. We talked about social issues.
Hmm.
So everything was in the barbershop. And of course, you brought your son, the father came in with his son, and they would sit there and get their haircuts together, and that was a way to do it then. I mean, they still do it now, but it's just different. And
Right.
so, it's now it's unless you make it personal and make it a relationship, it
Mhm.
won't be. They'll come in and get a haircut and they'll keep it moving.
Right.
So I think barbers really have to be intentional about creating relationships,
Right. Right.
even now, because the relationships that you create will guarantee you continuous income from people that who care about you, who like you, who appreciate you, and
Right.
will continue to patronize you all through the years to come.
Right. Well, that leads me to my next question. What separates a good barber from a great barber?
A good barber is more, uh, is more set with the skill set. He's a good barber. He know how to fade. He know how to line up. He use a razor.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, he can cut. People like him. He has a good following,
Hmm.
and he's a good barber. Um,
Okay.
the next level is the customer service. The next level is him being able to build, uh, you know, um, a shop or build,
Hmm.
barbers around him. He may
Okay.
be charismatic. He or she may be charismatic. They have a following, not only inside the barbershop or in locally, but maybe nationally. So
Okay.
but it all depends really what you think great is.
Right.
But it should be people oriented. It should be about making. I always tell my barbers, if you can make a person look good, feel good, and be better or be good, then you're on your way. Because
Right.
people want to be able to feel good, they want to be able to look good, and if you
Right.
can help them, just be a better person and give them some good advice and just be a good mentor, maybe. You're going to always be able to have people around you and have people who want to be with you. So,
Right.
uh, a great barber is somebody that gives back.
Mm.
It's not they're not um, selfish.
Right.
The whole mindset is to help those that are coming and to make it easier for
Mhm.
those that have not yet arrived. Open doors and for people trying to make it. So those are the things. Greatness is not even something that you would say.
Mhm.
It's something that other people say about you. If you guys say you're great, you're not great.
Right.
It's the humble mindset of knowing that I'm just here to help make this
Right.
thing happen. And so yeah, that's what I feel.
Okay. What's the wildest experience, the most wildest experience you ever had in a barbershop?
Uh, the wildest experience I've had in the barbershop, my customer got shot and killed in the barbershop in the
Oh,
chair in the chair.
oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
yeah, that
Damn.
that was in Harlem, and I guess it was on 100 and between 125th and 126th Street, little barber shop that I was cutting in, and that's when my mother told me, "You got to get out of this." And
It was your client.
my client, he was sitting, he was a drug dealer,
Okay.
and but he trusted me because the first time he came in, and I don't know if they do this on purpose. I know back then they would leave their bag or leave whatever they had brought in. They would tell you could you put that down there, and that was a bag full of money or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And then they would leave it, walk out and leave it, and then see you if you're gonna call them back to tell them that it's there,
Ah,
and then that's how they would know if you were trustworthy,
right.
and that's how they would you would end up being their barber.
Okay.
And so that's what happened to me with him. Uh, and they get 2, 3 haircuts a week.
Mm.
He had uh, two friends, girlfriends, I guess, and they would come in and get their nails done and in the front while he was getting his hair cut. And so this one Saturday evening, he came in and it was raining.
Hmm.
And he came in and he sat in the chair. And he would always tell me to spin him around when the door opened.
Right.
And that was because I don't know if you remember during that time, that was when Godfather had came out and they were killing people in the chair,
Yeah.
slitting their throat and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
and I know this is gruesome, but this is just what had happened.
Nah.
And
Nah.
so, a lot of guys in the street would do that. Wait till the guy went and got a haircut,
Uh-huh.
and he's in another world. He's laid back. He's getting shaved. His face probably covered, and they would come in and do whatever they had to do. Well, this night, this young man came in, a little young guy. He wasn't even. I don't guess he was even 20.
Uh-huh.
And he came in. It was raining real hard,
Hmm.
and he was like, "Can I get a cut?" And yeah, homeboy said he would take him. And so he was next. The guy that took him was next to me,
Hmm.
and so I had turned him around, and he said, "No, he's a homeboy, good." So he knew homeboy.
Okay.
So he turned back around, and I turned him back around, and I was cutting him. And so I think about another 10 minutes or so, the barber next to me was finished,
Hmm.
and so they had the transaction. They paid. The guy paid, and he walked out. And so he said, you next. And so in my peripheral and also in the mirror, I saw a young man, get up and take off. I don't know if you remember those rim breakers. The used to have no rim breakers. It was like, but they had a hood and you could
Oh yeah. Yeah.
pull them up. So he
Yeah.
had one of them on, and he looked like he was taking his windbreaker off to,
Hmm.
I guess to get the haircut. And so that's when I remember seeing in the mirror and seeing him stand up next to me. The next thing I saw was the gun right in front of my client's head. So when that happened, I went back like that, and boom, he just blasted everything. Everything went. It's just like explosion, and
Damn.
all of this had flipped over to the other side, and
Oh
so yeah, so all this space was just blown over to the other side, and then he was still trying to grab his face. I remember him trying to grab his face, and so we kept trying to take him, and he laid him on the floor, and it was just his girlfriends were screaming, excuse me, screaming and hollering, and the young man ran out, and it was just a mess. It was the worst thing I ever seen in my life. Uh,
wow.
and to this day, I can't, it's like it happened like last month. It's just the way it happened.
Right.
And
Right.
he died right there on the floor before they could even get anything. But it was just, for him to be trying to grab his face and put it back.
Right.
That
Yeah.
those are the last couple of things that he was just goggling, the whole nine. Yeah.
Right.
So that's when I was like, do I want to do this?
Right.
my
Right.
mother my mother says, son, you need to get out of there.
Yeah.
You need to be in that barber shop. So
Okay.
yeah, that after that, I decided that I was going to move down south, and I moved to Virginia.
Okay.
And when my dad had a church down there, and I was going to move there, and I opened a fragrance shop called the Oil Hut, and I was cutting hair in the back,
Hmm.
and we did that for about 2 3 years. I had a shop in New York and in Virginia. We had two shops, so we did pretty good coming up into the 2000s.
Okay.
So I was cutting a little bit and doing the fragrances and that kind of thing. We made shower gel, lotion. We
Hmm.
did, my wife and I, we did a lot, we did a lot of good things, coming into that 2000 era.
Okay.
But again, money still eluded me. I mean, I say eluded. I couldn't save the kind of money that I was making.
Right.
I just couldn't grasp that. And I said, I need to get into something with a low overhead,
Okay.
so that I don't have to keep buying product and
Hmm.
keep trying to re-up. And every time, when you got products, if you're not moving a lot of product real quick, that product sits there and watches you, and you're not making money. When you cut hair, you don't have no product to buy other than your initial tools, and maybe here a little, this and that, shave cream, whatever. But you're not constantly buying product to re-up. those clippers you spend maybe $100, $200 for
Mm-hmm.
will make you thousands. You
Right.
understand? And
Right.
that's the difference in the whole being able to save money and not having to spend money on products and other things that business owners have. That it was kind of the way to go for me. And
Okay.
so I just realized real quick that you know, you really can make a lot of money if you do the right thing, you know, when it comes to
Right.
finances. And
Right.
so, but I finally got the hang of it. And I guess coming into 2008, 9, I saw, I went to the Barner Brothers and I saw G Wiz on stage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I first said I can do that. And what I was talking about was, teaching and being on stage and that kind of thing. And so I had a background of, being in the church. I was a pastor, so I knew how to talk. And
Right.
so it was just, something for me to be able to put what I knew about this business and
Mm-hmm.
then share it, you know. And that was on that night that day we went to Bronner Brothers. I kid you not, brother. We had $80
Okay.
and we got in with the $80. I got in, but you know how Bronner Brothers you had to pay to get in, and I didn't realize then that you can go to classes and you had to pay for the classes upstairs. But if
Right.
you wanted to go downstairs to purchase stuff, you had to pay, the admission fee to go downstairs, and so we did that,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were basically almost broke. We had money to get home,
Mm-hmm.
and I just said I'm going to find out today if this is for me. If,
Okay.
if this is not for me, I'm gonna do what she say. I'm gonna go ahead and find me a job and do something else.
Okay.
And so that day that I went there to Bronner Brothers, I was my last time in my mind that I was going to be able to be a barber
Okay.
if I didn't find something.
So
And
that changed your whole mindset.
right, because I had to find something other to do for me than just cutting hair all day. I needed to find, is this it? Is this all there is to this business?
Right.
And I said, if this is all there is, then I don't think I want to be doing this another 15, 20 years. And so you be able to teach or and show and that kind of thing and help others. I felt like that was more of me. And
Okay.
and that's when I went there that Saturday, I think it was a Saturday evening. When I
Mm-hmm.
went there that Saturday evening, um, I left from there about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I
Mm-hmm.
got back to South Carolina about 10. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I dropped my wife off and went straight to the shop.
Mm.
And that night I knew. I said, this is it. This is what I want to do. And the
Okay.
next Warner Brothers, I had a class, my first class, and that was 2010. That was
Wow.
my first class, and that was after seeing G Wiz that previous summer,
Oh,
and that next summer I was teaching the class, and that was it. That was it for me. From that point on, I was just trying to build and trying to do videos and
mm,
and the video thing was just a fluke because I was just trying to show some of the things that I was struggling with,
mm,
how to do a mustache and trim and this just basic stuff. Wasn't nothing. I
right.
was I wasn't trying to be no big shot. I was just trying to just show the basic things that we struggle with as barbers.
Right. And
And
you were the first, like the first barber on YouTube.
well, yeah, I was there. I wasn't the first barber.
Hmm.
Um,
Or one of
um,
the first.
like yeah, because you remember Alice Campbell.
Oh,
Alice
right.
Campbell
Right.
was
Right.
the one that was showing what, and Alex did something. Alex would cut, and everybody Alex we had to joke, but everybody Alex had big foreheads. Remember they had them big, long, big
Ah,
wide foreheads, and big shape up, but they were sharp and they were tight, and
right. Right.
and and he really didn't show too much like work. He would do a lot of before and afters, and
Okay.
then you would see him lining them up. You would never see the process.
Work. Right. Right.
And that's what he was known. and people were buying. He was doing a little the DVDs and stuff like that, and you
Yeah.
know. So when I saw that, I said, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Okay.
But I was kind of like, but he's not showing, enough. Like I wanted to show
Hmm.
people doing it, and he did some cuts, but most times it was like, after he did it. So,
Hmm.
but like everybody, when somebody shows you that it can be done, then that just you know, sets
Right.
you in place. And so it was me and a couple of others that were doing it, but I was the first one. I was the first one to get offered a YouTube partnership,
Okay.
and to get first one. I got like 100,000 views and that kind of thing. And so that's
Hmm.
most view Barber came from, and but it was really at that time the people that I saw, guys, and a couple of white guys I remember seeing that were doing, just cuts. It wasn't really making themselves trying to be no leader in this game because nobody thought that was going to happen. you
Right.
know. And then people started saying to me, I had like I would use little products in the back, and they was like, "Yo, what's in that green bottle you was using?" And
Right.
so I said, "Well, I'm giving all this, free information to other guys to make money at other companies." So I started looking at getting my own products, and
Okay.
that's how the whole product thing came into play because I figured if they ask me what it is and they want to use it, I
Hmm.
need to go ahead and get it, put it in place so they can buy it from me. And that's how that started. So it just fell in place. Everything that I was doing at that time, it was just me learning while I was teaching.
Okay.
If you can understand, I mean, so some of these videos. If I go back, I can go back and look at the videos that I posted in 2009 and 2010.
Hmm.
And man, it's like I'm like, did I do that? And they thought
Right.
that was great.
Right. Right.
And then I did a Michael Jackson video,
Okay.
uh, uh inside of my son's head,
Uh-huh.
and I did it live. I didn't I didn't do it, and say here it is. I did it. They was able to watch it. It was
Oh,
an hour long video, and
okay.
that was my first video that went viral, and that's how I started getting calls and this and that. But
Hmm.
and that video is still up today, and it was in my son. I did it in my son's head, and it was like years ago. And I had a couple of guys from what's the guys from Barbers um I forget this guy's name. They had a little cutting group, and they had one guy that could do art, and he was just good. And
Hmm.
so even he didn't do it live. He did it, but you saw it after, and they were
Okay.
using pencil and this and that and colors, and so I did it live. It was just pencil to highlight, certain things, but it was all live cutting. It was no, drawing and that kind of thing. So
Okay.
um, that's really how I got started getting kind of popular per se from that video, and we just started our own cutting group because people that we wanted to cut with at the time about getting little cut teams, and they said, oh, we got our team already, or we got enough people, and so me and Michael Muhammad, we decided we're gonna get our own little cut team, and we called it ABMAM, Average Barbers Making Above Average Money.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how that caught on, and then we started bringing other guys in, and we started going around the country cutting, and got some backing from Wall
Mhm.
Andis, and so it was just a great time and a great thing. And like I said, we were learning while we were showing and teaching. A
Okay.
lot of things, and then when we got to the spray dyes and this and that, and it,
Hmm.
it just was a good time. And so you know. Years go by so quick. You realize, how much you've done, all the highways you traveled, the airways, and this and that.
Hmm.
And so at this time, I guess I should be laying it down and sitting on the porch in the back and
Hmm.
relaxing. But man, I feel like I'm just getting started, man.
Right. Plus,
I'm really happy about what I do.
you
And I
still
think,
got love for it.
yeah, I think that if I didn't have that, because I did have a cancer scare in 2013,
Mm.
which they gave me a year to live. And so, but I beat cancer. I mean, I've been cancer free since 2014.
Wow.
And yeah, so man, he said you leaving here, and you must just go ahead and do this chemo thing and do what we want to do, and if you don't, this is what's going to happen. And I at that time I was 50,
Okay.
so I'm like, I'm not, you know, I'm not really scared of death to that extent. I don't want to die, but if I'm gonna go, I want to go with a quality of life. So I didn't want to be situated in a place where I would be a burden on somebody,
Right.
and not be able to enjoy life to the fullest on
Hmm.
some level. And so I said, look, man, if I got to go, I'm gonna go, but I'm gonna go on my terms. And I just believe God that I'm not finished.
Right.
And as a man thinketh,
Hmm.
so is he. And I just not was not going to accept it like that. I did, however, lose weight, and I did go ahead and change my diet and did some things, to help take the weight off, because a lot of that was just, weight related and what I was eating and this and that. So
Hmm.
I did do that, and 'cause I was about almost 400 pounds.
What?
So yeah, yeah. So I
Wow.
dropped just about 300, 100 pounds down
Wow.
to 300. So
Okay.
and that's still a lot, but it was nowhere near 400.
Right. Right.
And so, but that really what gave me another chance to be, able to stay here a few years longer. I didn't know how long, but
Right.
we ended up moving to South Carolina,
Hmm.
and we moved here in 2004, five, yeah. And so it was nice, a new place to live and
Hmm.
be. It wasn't crowded, it wasn't violent where
Hmm.
we were anyway. And I had to get my license here in South Carolina and had to start all over. I had to go to school again because I had let my license
Oh
in New
man.
York City. I
Damn.
let that. Yeah, that's another thing too. Make sure when you say you're gonna quit, you finish,
Right.
because if you let that license go and expire and you wait that long, then if you go someplace else, there's no
Reciprocity.
reciprocity, because you let it expire. So I had to go to school all over again. I had to sit in
Wow.
the class and sit with people that didn't know how to cut. And I'm sitting in there. I was a master barber, and I was sitting there trying to start all over again. But I did it. I
Okay.
went to school at night. I went to school during the morning. I worked in the barber shop in the afternoon to the
Hmm.
evening, and then I came home and changed my clothes. And I went to this club and did the bouncer. And
Ah.
I did that for a whole year
Okay.
while I was getting my license and trying to stay in the game. This is like 2007,
Uh-huh.
and so yeah. Even when that night I told you about, I went to Bronner Brothers, and I was still trying to figure out if I was going to stay in the business. I was
Hmm.
just really getting my license and getting back on my feet again,
Hmm.
and I didn't want to start all that again and it not be for me.
Right. Right.
Um, and so yeah, but that's how it came. And it was kind of rough because when you're trying to find out what it is you want to do
Hmm.
money wise, sometimes what you want to do, the money does not equate to what it is you want to do. So you might want to be a singer, but you know,
That money ain't right.
the money ain't right.
Right.
So you singing in the church and the little this and that, and you singing down the street for
Mm.
the store opening, and they give you $50, and so but singing is in your blood, so you keep singing, but you're not getting paid. And
Right.
that's kind of how it was for me as a barber starting out, and even in you're making $300-400, but if it ain't coming together, with the bills, then you just working.
Right.
So
Right.
I had to find a way to make money from behind the chair when I wasn't cutting. That's where the products came in, because see, the products, even when I couldn't work, because I had got a double hip replacement in 2011.
Mm,
So I couldn't work, and I always taught people to have products. So if you can't work, you can sell your product. And
right.
most years I was online and teaching and doing videos. I had my products, and so when I had to get my hip replaced, I got one hip done in 2011, and
Hmm.
another one done of June, and the other one done in 2011 of the same year in
Mm.
September. And
How
and
long were you out the shop?
well, I was at the shop about 2 weeks,
That's
a week,
it.
a week and a half, because I was still trying to walk around, man, and and then the second hip, I actually was out the shop I was out of the shop 1 week, and that's when I won the New York City Barber Battle
Ah,
in New York, and so I
yeah.
wasn't even supposed to be there. I had lost like 60 pounds, and I
Uh-huh.
was there with Mike Muhammad, uh,
Uh-huh.
Tara the Barber.
Yeah.
He was there with me, and a couple of other people were there at the time and were friends, was there supporting me. And I was weak, man. I was not even supposed to be out there that night, and I came there that night and to try to at least place, because I had never been in a barber battle, but I had always practiced cutting fast and
Right.
see how fast I could cut. And so that night, I went there, and you know, the place where I was supposed to set up, somebody had took the cord, the
Mm.
outlet.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever was there before me took the whole outlet. So when I
Mm-hmm.
got ready to set up, there was no plug set up.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get ready to count down, like, yeah, we don't have no plug. And so they were looking for a plug, looking for the plug, and looking for the guy that took it. They
Mm-hmm.
said that somebody took it on purpose because they knew that I was going to be there in that spot, and they took it to throw me off. And it
Uh,
kind of almost did, but Mike and them, like, so then it was so crowded, they only had those little bars that they have, like you go into the bank. They had those to separate you from the crowd.
right.
But the
Right.
crowd is pushing in on you.
Right. This was the
So
first New York City barber battle, right?
I don't know, but I think about maybe the second. It was this 2011.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's about, I think about the second, maybe second.
Okay.
Yeah. So and then it was just so crowded and hot. But I had a good team with me, man, and they pushed people back.
Mm.
Somebody got me cord, a extension cord to plug in, and I did a ball fade in 3 minutes and almost 4 minutes, and clean.
Damn.
It had to be finished. It had to be clean. It had to be blended. Uh,
Damn.
yeah, and so I won that
How many
night.
minutes does it take you now? Can you still do it?
And then I can do it about five or six,
Damn.
something like that. I can do a ball fade in about that. So
Wait.
yeah, but at that
So
time I used to practice it all the time.
so break down how you do the ball fade in 5 minutes. You start out, you skin them
You
first
skin them
line.
first. You skin them first. Then you
Mhm.
take off the top. At that time, it had to be at least a 1.5 on top.
Okay.
So you take that 1.5 and you go over that whole top. Take that 1.5.
With the grain or against the grain?
Go against the grain.
Okay.
And Terra the Barber was my model.
Okay.
Terra the Barber. That video is in stills. It's online. It's a YouTube video. It's
Okay.
online. Just type in Al's Dominions Barber Battle,
Okay.
and that comes up. But they didn't. The time they wouldn't let us videotape it because they said they were going to videotape it, but they didn't.
Uh,
They didn't do it.
right.
So, but the girl that was with us, she did stills of the
Okay.
whole thing. Just took pictures, and she
Okay.
took enough pictures that we could put together a montage almost of the whole cut. So it
Okay.
was crazy how it happened like that, but it worked out better for me, I think, than the video. The way he did it, and you could feel the energy in me cutting. And so yeah, you take off the top, the 1.5,
Mhm.
You ball them out. Then you just work that line. You work that line all the way around. And once
Mhm.
you get that line worked out, because I had that line down to like maybe you know two rounds, two go rounds. You know, hit
Wow.
that line and hit it again and hit that line and make sure looking, spin them around, look at them while spinning them around. I'm getting ready to line them up.
Okay.
And
Wow.
then of course they come around looking. It was another guy who claimed he had finished first, but he he had lines of demarcation,
Mm.
so it wasn't finished. So in other
Right.
words, he saw me finishing, and he just stopped. But you just can't stop because you want to stop. It has to be a good haircut. It just
Right.
can't. You just can't put. Anybody could do that. Leave the line there.
Right. Right. Hey,
So
you should get back into competitions, man.
man, that thing is that whole deal is. It got to be. I don't know. It's for me. It's like your heart is like beating fast. You
Yeah.
know what you know. You don't want to hurt her. You don't want to. You don't want to draw no blood
Right.
because if you draw blood, it's over.
Right.
And so, but you got to have somebody with tight skin. Can't have
Right.
nobody. It can't be nobody with a whole bunch of loose
Right.
skin. So when you go over it, it can't be loose going moving with you. It got to be. It got to be. And Tara had a nice hard head.
Right. Right.
He
Okay.
said, he said, man, he said, I'll do it, man. Don't worry about it. He said, don't worry about it. I can take it. And I went and I went around, Tara,
Yeah. Yeah.
do it, man, do it. So
Uh,
I went around and did that and lined them up and got them up. And I remember the lady from Walls, forgot her name. She teaches, I forgot her name. She's gonna kill me. But she was the one, and she came over to me and she said, "You won." And so the next thing I know, Nuri was giving my trophy, and
mm,
I was like ecstatic, because at that point I was still weak. I was still like, struggling from the operation. I had only been there a week out. I shouldn't even been out there. And but after I got the award and I got outside, I felt dizzy. They had to help me get to the car because I was like,
wow.
but
Yeah.
yeah, and that was the highlight. Up until that point, that
Yeah.
was the highlight of my life in the business, doing that. And after I did it that night, I was like, I'm done. I don't need to do that again because
Okay.
it's just a lot. It's a lot,
Right.
And then I see now these guys doing like color and this and that, and I've done a lot of judging,
Mhm.
so I kind of understand what they're feeling. But now you got to add the fact that they're doing designs, they're doing color. You got the model has to be there. You got to get the model prepped. It's how the model looks. It's crazy. The stuff that it goes into what you want it to be. You may be a good barber, but the model might not be right.
Right. Right.
The hair might not be, and some, people like, straight hair people win more,
Yeah, they
you
do.
know. Yeah,
They do. Hmm.
they do. And so you have to look at, what kind of model am I going to have,
Hmm.
and then who are the judges? See,
Right.
so a lot of that, I've seen some, man. I went to Little Rock, Arkansas, to
Hmm.
teach some classes, and they had barber battle,
Hmm.
and boy, it got ugly in there.
Oh,
I had to get on the mic and try to calm it down because one of their people lost. They thought he should have won, and they said we was cheating, and it was a whole thing.
oh,
And people started acting crazy and slamming doors and start throwing chairs. Oh, it was crazy, man.
damn. What?
So, so yeah, but they get serious about these Bible battles, man. So yeah, so you better know what you're doing, especially when it comes down to the tallying and
Right.
and
Right.
getting those numbers right. Because
Right.
some people doing different from other people.
Right.
What to look for and that kind of thing, and you got to have it set up at the beginning because if not, it can get real ugly. So yeah,
Oh,
but yeah, so I kind of like left that alone a little bit. The
oh,
last Bible battle that I judged was at um um TT Baba
okay.
Expo. Yeah, that was 2 years ago with Jay Majors, and
Okay.
I did that because he asked me. Because I up until that point, I was not trying to really do it because everybody does it different, and it's always a problem. But
Right.
that night, it was pretty cut and dry, pretty clear. But again, I noticed also that the straight hair people, if you just had a curly hair person in that, you better have been doing some serious cutting with
Yeah.
a whole bunch of creativity and color and everything else because just a basic fade or whatever, or, burst fade, it wouldn't
Right.
draw attention. So yeah,
Right.
that's an unfortunate thing. Even as I post, I post a lot of things, but I cut a lot of European white people,
Mm-hmm.
and I caught flack for that, um, because why you always cut, because that's what come in my shop.
Right.
But also when I post those cuts,
Mm-hmm.
those are the cuts that get the most views.
Mm.
So when I post my brother in a Caesar and Temp beard,
Mm-hmm.
I may get about 300-400 views. But when I post a white guy, his white counterpart,
Mm-hmm.
and now he don't even have to have a beard.
Right.
As long as I cut it and comb it over, whatever, 1,000, 2,000 views, you
Wow.
know, right off the bat. And I mean, like in a couple of hours. And so is it me or is it those that are watching?
Right.
And so, those are the things that we have to look at now, especially now in the new age. Then we got this whole thing with the AI, and we got the Photoshop. A few years ago, one of the guys admitted that he was using Photoshop to. I'm not going to call him out, but he was a well-known.
Touch up them
This,
cuts.
uh,
He was touching up them cuts.
yeah, he was, and then so my issue was, you're an educator for a well-known company. People follow you because you're supposed to be a good barber, showing people technique, and then you out here. But he confessed to it. But he confessed to it before somebody exposed him. But that's what happened.
Uh,
Somebody was going to expose him, so he went ahead and confessed and
okay.
told and showed how he did it. So that was like a preemptive thing, so he could, keep that from being a big thing. But it was too late because now you got barbers, young barbers, in the shop taking a customer from a 45-minute cut to an hour and a half because he's trying to copy or duplicate what he thinks is a real haircut.
Right.
And it's not even done by a human being.
Right. Right.
So you so you're supposed to be a teacher and you putting up false work that you didn't even do, and
Mm-hmm.
then you don't want nobody to talk about it.
Right.
Well, I talked about it. He tried to block me and took it out. I said, you wrong, man. You wrong. You can't fix that. Even if you say you did it, you can't. Because I knew something was. I said, this dude's face, man, is like flawless.
Right.
And I'm like, how he do that?
Right.
But he took that Photoshop and just, you can get the fade you want.
Right.
And so you got people trying to duplicate, and they can't duplicate that because it wasn't even done by a human being,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And so those are the kind of things that we had to be careful about in the industry, and this whole thing about, using um, enhancements,
Mm-hmm.
because I was, back in the day, that's what I did. I did the enhancements, and
Mm-hmm.
but my thing is, when I see barbers remove the hair that they need
Mm-hmm.
and then come back and spray it back on, or
Mm-hmm.
that's just bad cutting, brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not. You need the man's going bald and we got to enhance it. No,
Mm-hmm.
you took the hair off. If you started from the beginning, you saw he had a nice black point right there. You removed it, and now you're spraying it back on. If that's not backwards, I don't know what is.
That's crazy. It's crazy. Well, tell me what inspired you to create the OG Barber Conference? What was your inspiration?
Guys like you and guys like me and guys like, all the young men and women that were a part of that Bronner Brothers time, you
Okay.
know, uh, and again, if you remember, there were certain people walking around that Bronner Brothers floor watching what
Mm-hmm.
we were doing
Mm-hmm.
and learning concepts and learning techniques and learning how to do color, you know, and the color like my brother doing the color, and nobody was doing the color like that, and so we had brothers, you know, that were out there putting work together, and nobody was giving them their flowers,
Right.
and
Right.
here we are now, you know, 10, 15 years later, and folks seem to forgot, want to rewrite history,
Right.
and that like they learned it, they did it from themselves, they had this thing, and my only thing with Bronner Brothers was at the time we warned them because they asked us, what should we do, what should we be doing,
Right.
and I said that from my point of view, you guys are afraid to give barbers a platform where we could carry this business.
Right.
What they would do would be put us on one side of the floor, and I say us like the uh, the vendors, and
Mm-hmm.
then the stage for the barbers would be on the other side. So
Right.
we would be on one side of the building, not even knowing that there's a barber battle or
Mm-hmm.
whatever's going on, and then have the stage on the other side of the building.
Yeah. I
You see,
remember.
then later on, you see somebody coming around, walking around with trophies. When did that happen? Why are we
Right.
not? Why are
Right.
we not able to piggyback off of that and to get some of the sales from that, people being over in that area? So then they tried to do something. They put little platforms up where we could stand on top of the platform and cut
Oh
in
yeah.
a little area, and that was bad. You mess around, fall, and break your neck trying to cut. So it was just they didn't want to invest in barbers to the extent that they would, give us a area that was conducive for us to really make money.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I was directly opposite somebody selling fragrances and oils and dashiki robes. No disrespect to nobody else that
Mm-hmm.
that did it. My thing is, if I'm a barber, we should be in an area where we can make money, not
Right.
just take our money and put us wherever.
Right.
And so we just had a problem with that. You people coming here. We already got the problem with the guys coming looking to get pick up girls and
Right.
and not looking to buy nothing. And
Right.
so you got that, and then you got people coming in there just want to get stuff for the beauty salon,
Mm-hmm.
and no disrespect to the women, they gotta do their thing.
Right.
But where do you put you put us like to the back, or
Yeah.
we are side, so a lot of barbers say, hey, I'm coming here, I'm spending this money, you know, even if I teach a class, I'm not, because that one time you taught a class, you got a free booth. Then it changed from you just you just pay a little bit less on your class, on your booth, and you get a class.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not, if it's not generating new people coming in, new barbers coming in, because they can't see who they want to see,
Mm-hmm.
barbers will not come. And so what happened? They kept doing this until the internet got really strong, until barbers started putting their products on Amazon. And
Right.
once barbers start putting their products on Amazon, and once barbers had their own website, there was no need for people to come all the way across the country
Right.
and spend all this money, get a hotel, pay to get in, just so they could buy the products that they wanted to get.
Right.
When internet got like that and got so big and bold, where people can just go online and do a few clicks and not have to spend no money for a hotel, for flying, then that's when it really started to hurt Warner Brothers, because up until that point, a lot of the people came were coming because of the camaraderie.
Right.
But when we got out of it and it started, slowing down, these new jacks wasn't, they don't know nothing about what we were doing. They was like, they coming on the back end of it. So they don't know nothing about Mr. Taper. They don't know nothing about Al's men. They didn't know nothing about none of us to
Mm-hmm.
that extent because they was watching Jeezy 360. They was
Right.
watching these new young guys
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube, and they wanted to see them.
Right. Right.
Those guys maybe came once or twice just to see what Warner Brothers was all about, but they didn't even come back no more.
Right. Yeah.
So when they stopped coming, these young guys said, "Hey, well, I ain't going there because ain't nobody that I want to see
Mm-hmm.
is going to be there."
Yeah.
And then that there you come in with Jay was able to tap into all of that
Right.
because he saw what was happening,
Right.
and you can't blame anybody for it. When you neglect to take your place, don't get mad if somebody take your place.
Right. That's what happens. That's
And
what
that's
happens.
what happened. And so now we're trying to catch up, but it's like it's a far gone for a lot of young barbers. That's like old school. We don't want whatever
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these new school barbers and some of these new barbers coming up trying to go to brother, and they telling me when they come back, man, nobody buying nothing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, uh, it's just a lot of women walking around. Nobody, So, and nothing wrong with that. But from their point of view, that's they wasn't making any money.
Right.
So when your barbers are not making no money as vendors, and you got a few the guys that are giving classes, a lot of the older us doing classes, and these young guys, they don't even know or they don't respect older guys. Sometimes they think that we just don't we don't know what's going on.
Right.
So you got that, and that should not have been allowed to happen. You let it go when we're trying to warn you that it's a new generation coming in. It's a way to do this without losing. But they
Right.
didn't believe that barbers could carry a whole a
Oh,
whole
so.
show,
Right. Oh,
and we see now that can happen.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
can happen. So yeah, but that's unfortunate. And again, so that's why I said, you know, before it gets to a place where people will really completely write you out of the game completely,
Mm-hmm.
write you out of history, forget all about that there was even a barber magazine
Mm-hmm.
that was professionally done where we could see us and see cuts and see get information about the business and see products that we didn't always, see in our neighborhoods.
Right.
When we could come, you know what I'm saying, and
Yeah.
get that monthly and come to the barber shop and be in the barber shop and we could put it in the show it off. And look, this is a black owned black
Mm-hmm.
magazine for barbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so those things were, if you came up in the last 15 years, you didn't know about that,
Right.
and so it only made sense that you know we make sure that you got your due. I was not going to say, this brother was at the vanguard at the beginning of this,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of cuts that we didn't even know how to do. We had to look at your magazine to get them to learn. We should show your magazine to customers
Oh, wow.
so they could get an idea of what they wanted.
Right. Right. Wow.
Because sometimes those haircuts wasn't even on the chart.
Right.
You
Right.
understand? So yeah, man. So that was the reason why we did it. Is it was to give us a chance to come together, to spend a weekend together, to share ideas, and then for us to go ahead and give you some type of reward that and to remind you that we haven't forgotten you. And
Right.
and, and that was the premise. And of course, anything you start, people, try to find a way to see how they can do it,
Mm-hmm.
but it got to come from the heart. It got to be you know, something serious. You just can't make up something and say we're going to sell tickets. And
Right.
so, but we did find out we hit a couple of nerves because we had people, that were in it and part of that time that because of their experiences, it didn't want nothing to do with being, in that. They didn't want. They don't cut hair no more. They work
Mm.
in factories. They are not doing well financially now, and
Oh wow.
they didn't. We had a lot of barbers, man. I would never, you know, uh, tell who they are,
Hmm.
but who we came up with and did work with uh, didn't come to the show,
Hmm.
because he said, I don't want to see none of them, you know, I don't want to see none of them.
Wow.
And because he felt like the work he did in the beginning was, you know, people used it, manipulated, took it, made
Hmm.
money on it, and he's still struggling.
Mm.
See, and like I told him, the only way for you to change that is not to walk away from it.
Right.
If you at the Vanguard or something and you did something and people bought your videos, people bought your tapes, people bought that, they supported you from that time. Okay, so you didn't change with the time fast enough or whatever, and people will move on. That's going to happen. But
Right.
there's a way, even in that, to remain relevant. Relevancy is a state of mind. You
Hmm.
don't allow people to dictate to you your relevancy.
Right.
You're relevant as long as you want to be relevant,
Hmm.
and then you have to be relevant with a realistic mindset. You don't. You can't run fast as you used to run,
Right.
but you can walk. You understand? So you use what you can and do what you can do to get the same kind of results. And there's other things you can do. So there's things that I don't do anymore because back then that's what I did.
Hmm.
Nowadays I just do what I need to do to bring in customers and build.
Right.
I don't need to. I don't need to go out here no more and compete. I don't need to do all kind of designs and colors, and I don't need to do that anymore because I've done it.
Right.
At this point, things that I do now, it's about building and putting in place a system where anybody can come in and make money and not worry about how good my design is, how good the color is. All
Hmm.
you want is a clean cut that a person can go to church, can go to work, can come back and know that it's going to look good after he takes a shower, and he's going to feel good that whole week. And then he'll come back in a week or 2 weeks and do it all over again.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, all we looking for really is to be able to take care of ourselves and our families.
That's right. That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? And so I had to get the barbers out of this whole $100 an hour a customer.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
you need to do is be able to put together 2 or 3 haircuts an hour, and you'll get over $100.
Right.
Okay? Because it's not the amount of money you get from one person.
Hmm.
It's the amount of money you can get from a collective amount of people in the same amount of time. So
Right.
we got a guy say, okay, I cut $100 for a haircut, and you can't tell me that everybody you cut, you get $100 from all day long.
Right. Right.
Okay, you might have 3 or 4 people that you might get $100 from, maybe 1 or 2 days a week, but not everybody sitting in your chairs giving you $100. And even if that's the case,
Hmm.
if it takes you a whole hour and a half, 2 hours for that one client, and I'm doing $40 for a client,
Hmm.
30 minutes, and an hour and a half, I just made what, 100 and what, 20, $130,
Right. Yeah.
because I'm still working.
Yeah.
Whether I do it with one person or 3 people, I'm still working in that hour. So I'm able to take $40 per person into an hour and a half or hour, because I can do 3 people in an hour, but I
Right.
just don't do it that way. But I could if I needed to.
Right.
But it just shows you that we get hung up on these numbers, that at the end of the day, if you do 8 a day, you can do $2,000 a week.
Hmm. Yeah.
You can do 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening, and do that every day, and focus on building every day. Focus on Tuesday people. Focus on Wednesday people. Focus on Thursday people. And do that every single day. Build like that. You build one day at a time and be consistent. And you can make a lot of money if you focus on getting people in the chair and out of the chair expeditiously and good quality. Not no just throwing them out there. But that way people will come back. People nobody wants when the last time you went to church and saw somebody with a design on their head?
Long time.
Well, it's been years.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, you might see a little young kid with a little something, but you don't see nobody walking around with no portraits on the back of their head.
Nah.
You don't see that.
Mm-mm.
But that's the commercial side. That's the show business side of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
But the realistic side of what we do is I want a clean cut, haircut, so I can go to church, I can go to work.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be focusing on. The other stuff, the show business side, we can do that, but that's not for every day. You got the man blacked out, you got the man painted, you got this, you got that, you got grandma looking like a deacon. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
you got her blacked out. Everybody getting blacked out. You don't put hair, everybody, and they don't even need it.
Mm-hmm.
And you're losing the focus of making money because you think this is going to make you successful when they're going to go home and wash it out. They're going to go home and wear it out, and they're not going to come back to you
Right.
because they didn't. I don't need all that. I just want a haircut.
Right.
You understand? So we're combining the show side with the everyday realistic side, and they're kind of like they're not really working, and that's why you see people say, oh, when you go home and take a bath, you go and take a shower, and yeah, because that's not for that. That's for the show side. That's for me taking pictures. We out here chilling for a weekend, and we want to look, you know, BET BET right. You know what I'm saying? So we not, we just dressed up. But when I go back to my real life, I don't look like that. I don't be blacked out every day.
Right.
You know, so that's where barbers are getting hung up at, and especially young ones coming in. They're trying to do stuff that they see on Instagram, and you got a man in the chair for 2 hours. You ain't making no money off of this,
Mm-mm.
and you can't pay your booth rent. You can't pay attention
Hmm.
because you spending all this time trying to do something. You got air pumps, you got sprays, you got dye, you got colors. It take a whole car to bring your stuff in,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of the day, you ain't made no money.
Right.
And the guy over there got two clippers and a comb
He.
and cleaning up.
Right. Right.
Cleaning up. You over there trying to get plugged in and started. You got, spray paint on the wall by mistake. You got it going on, but you can't make the money because you're not understanding where it is. Now, if you go down to the show or you go down to whatever, then you can,
It's different.
that's time to show out. That's time to we're gonna do our thing. But in the shop on a regular day, and you got Granny in the chair, and you pulling out the spray, and
Mm.
Granny just asked for a shape, but I just want to bring my line.
Man, that's crazy.
You got her sprayed up. She in church on Sunday looking like the deacon
Right. That's.
because you want to make everybody spray. So what
Mm.
I'm saying really is that we got to look at the realistic side of this business. Now,
Right.
at the end of the day, what's going to make us money so that when we leave and go home at night, we have something that we can give to our families that we can save, especially now when we don't know what's going to go on with this economy. We
Right.
really got to get ourselves together, and get ourselves focused on what it is that people really want from barbers and stylists, And so I try to address the needs of bald men, bearded men. My new shop is called Bald and Bearded, where we just got bald and bearded men and pamper them and give them head shaves and hot
Mm.
towels and the whole nine. It's about showing, people that even if you don't have any hair on top of your head, you can get pampered.
Still get
You
pampered.
can look, yeah. And so,
Well,
and
where
that's,
can
and that's a
where
whole market,
where
huh?
where can we reach you? Like if I'm a potential client. Where can we reach you?
We have a shop. We have a shop in Greenville, South Carolina. That's the baby. That's the home shop.
Okay.
And that's in Greenville. You can go to www.bossbarberstudio.com. And if you're in the Greenville area, or anywhere between Greenville and Seneca, South Carolina, you can go there and book online.
Hmm.
And then if you're up a little higher, going north, we have a shop in Spartanburg that we got a new lease and new building, and so we just moved into there last May. And
Okay.
so one side of that shop is open now, and that's where we did that shop like brand new and just like really done nice. And
Yeah, I saw the
so
videos.
yeah, and so now just yesterday, my son and I we started working on the other side, and that's going to be the bald and bearded side, and that's going to be the side where for the pampering and all that good stuff. And then we also got a place where we're going to do teaching and do some a live work and video work. I can continue to do um, content for YouTube. We want to get back into that because we got guys getting checks for $50,000 a month.
Yeah.
In this business, and the content is not that great.
Right.
But it's because what happens is you don't have anything out there. You get what you can get. You know.
Right.
And
Right.
so, so we're gonna be doing that again, and going over things, the techniques, the things that you can do to really drive your income up and to bring in clientele. That a lot of people do too much, and a lot of people just want to get in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have days where you're in and out days. And then
Right.
you can have days where you focus really on detail work and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, and at the end of the week, you want to be able to take home some good money in this business
Mm-hmm.
and train yourself to work expeditiously
Mm-hmm.
without losing the quality.
Right.
And that's the key. If you can
Okay.
maintain the quality and not lose, the clients, you're good.
Well, hey, man, I really appreciate this conversation, man. I really want to thank you for allowing me to ask you these questions. And good luck with the two new shops, with the
Yeah.
two shops.
Hmm.
Good luck with the OG Barber Conference.
Yeah,
And
we'll be back in play next. If not the end of this year, the first part of next year, we're going to do a new one. Our newest one. We want to make sure we get this time that we get with people that really, really understand what this is about. I'm just not going to give out awards just to give out awards.
mhm,
People that are going out people awards to people that have done something in the industry that has helped other people. Okay,
okay.
and that's really what we're looking for. So
Well,
yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, man. I
no
appreciate
problem,
that.
man. And it was good hearing from you, man. And I'll be talking to you a lot more often, brother.
No problem, man. I see you. I see you out there. I see you hitting the shows, and
Hmm.
and you and you and you still helping others. You're still sharing the information about how people can go see and learn and everything, and that's needed because sometimes people are not plugged in
Hmm.
to the national and know what's going on nationally. So when you
Right.
when you get on and you tell people about the shows coming up, what's coming new, and this and that, even though everybody may not be plugged into it,
Hmm.
but it helps people that understand. And what we want to do is support everybody. I
Right.
want to really begin to support all our brothers who are out here doing something that's worthwhile and worthy of the recommendation. So I want to thank you for holding it down and being consistent. I know it's not easy, man. I know, sometimes folk forget,
Hmm.
from where they come, but again, it's good to know that you out here doing what you know how to do. And I like that music you played a few weeks over the summer. That
Yeah.
music that was some good stuff there. I like that.
Appreciate it.
So
Appreciate it.
put that in the barber shop.
Okay. Appreciate you, bro. Well,
Appreciate you too, man.
you take care, man.
God bless you, man. Love you, brother.
You too, bro.
Take care.
Bye bye.